Sports. It's 9:05 at 97.5 Glory FM and live from the NGPG Sports Center. Mike Wofford with you here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show. I'm with you until 10 o'clock this morning as we'll bring you high school, college, and pro sports action on the local sports scene right here on your radio station for North Georgia Sports. It's the second Saturday in October. It is a gorgeous morning here in North Georgia. Clear, sunny skies. We now have 51 degrees at our studios in Gainesville. It's Mule Camp Market Weekend. We welcome everyone coming into the area for that annual fall festival. Going to be a great weekend in store for you. Lots of great high school football action last night as we're into the final month of the season. There's 3 weeks left on the regular season schedule for teams here in the North Georgia area. And last night, what a game we had for you. As North Hall made history by defeating Greater Atlanta Christian for the first time in school history with a thrilling 27-23 win over the Spartans from last night. We'll hear highlights from that ball game with the great calls from Joe Gailey later on here in the show. Also from last night in Region 6 AAA play, it was Lumpkin County downing Johnson 64-14. It was Dawson County surprising White County 14-0. You heard from Coach Sid Maxwell last night on the final score talking about that ball game with a great defense for the Tigers shutting down Trip Nix and the White County offense. And it was Dawson County winning 14-0. Also, a huge one. You heard from Stuart Cunningham last night. First region win for the Chestatee War Eagles in a long time. As they were at home last night, they defeat Pickens 37-14. 2 straight wins now for the War Eagles. They've had 3 wins so far this season, and looking to see what they can build upon there in the upcoming next 3 weeks for Chestatee. Also in Region 8 AAA action from last night, you'll hear from Coach Tommy Jones, the head coach of Cherokee Bluff, in just a few minutes as his Bears won last night's game against Monroe area down at Yona Field by a final of 52-24. The final in that ball game. Also in that region, they have probably 3, if not 4, top 10 teams in the state in Class AAA in that region. It was Jefferson falling behind early to East Hall 7-0 in the first quarter, but then it was the Dragons coming back strong with a 49-7 victory over East Hall. And also it was all Oconee County for Coach Ben Hall's team as they run past West Hall 50-0, the final in that game. Other games around the area, one of the biggest games in the state. It was on GPB television last night statewide as number 1 ranked Milton, the number 3 team in the nation, taking on Gainesville. Second time this season that Gainesville has faced a number 1 team. Second time the Elephants have lost this season, as it was Milton coming out on top of the Elephants by a score of 42-24. That means probably that Gainesville, the best they can do will be the number 2 team out of Region 7 Quinte. And we'll find out more details about that. They have 3 games left on the regular season schedule for Gainesville. Now, also from last night, other games around the area, it was Lakeview Academy, a win in the GIAA as they defeat Kings Academy 35-13. You also hear from Coach Lee Coleman later this half hour, because next week we'll be at Lakeview Academy as they will have their homecoming game against the Eagles of Athens Christian. Then they'll wrap up the regular season in 2 weeks. And right now it looks like the Lions would be hopefully at home in the opening round of the state playoffs, and game you'll hear on 97.5 Glory FM. We'll talk more with Coach Coleman later this half hour here on 97.5 Glory FM. Also around the area, it was Bates County. They were shut out by Elbert County in region play 33-0. Going back to Thursday night, it was Beaufort defeating Decula 51-14. Also, it was East Forsyth with another region win as they were victorious back on Thursday night against Walnut Grove. And also from last night in Region 8 Quad A play, as you heard from Coach Jason Tester of Flying Branch, a big win for the Falcons as they were a winner over Madison County 32-23, the final in that ball game. And the game's over at Forsyth County. It was North Forsyth falling to North Atlanta. Also, it was West Forsyth defeating South Forsyth. Lambert was a winner over They defeated Alpharetta, shutting that team out, and also it was Denmark, a winner over Versailles Central last night in that region. Most of those teams you'll have, probably 3 of those 4 teams, the top teams in Forsyth County, will be heading to the state playoffs coming up in November. And of course, we'll bring you all the details of high school football here on 97.5 Glory FM. Coming up next, we'll get to talk to one of our coaches here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM. And I'll get the right button pushed for you here in just a moment on 97.5 Glory FM.
If you need on-time expert plumbing service, Conditioned Air Systems is here for you. Our plumbers deliver the highest quality service in North Georgia 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. We've been North Georgia's source for elite residential and commercial services since 1983. Our licensed plumbers offer services for installation and repairs of pipes, water heaters, septic lines, and sump pumps. Choose Conditioned Air Systems for quality service and unmatched knowledge for your plumbing needs.
Injuries are never planned and often happen after hours or over the weekend. That's why NGPG Orthopedic and Sports Medicine offers the Black and Blue Walk-In Clinic for injured athletes every Monday morning in their offices in Gainesville, Brazelton, Buford, Bushton, and Jefferson. No need to call. Just walk right in between 8:30 and 11:30 on Monday mornings. And one of their sports medicine and orthopedic doctors will be there to help identify, treat, and care for your injury. To learn more, you may visit ngpg.org/black-and-blue.
11 minutes past 9 o'clock on the Saturday Morning Sports Show here on 97.5 Glory FM. We go to the phones. We talked with Coach Lee Coleman, the head coach of the Lakeview Academy Lions, who won their game last night against Kings Academy. Good morning, Lee.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm blessed, sir. How about you?
I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
So tell me about the win last night for the Lions.
You know, it was a good win for us. I thought it was a ugly win because we played bad at times. It was sluggish, but it was a really good win to win on the road.
All right, so tell me about what that does for the Lions now with 2 games left in the schedule.
That puts us in position. We're 7-1. Puts us in position if we win out and hopefully have some help from another team, we can move to 4th place in the state standings just because of power rankings, and that'll give us a home playoff game for the first round.
So you're telling me you still got to get help from another team, Lee?
Well, yeah, unfortunately, just the power rankings and how that works. We could be 9-1, and the other team could be 6-4 and still be ahead of us because of power rankings. So not sure how that works, but it's one of those things. We're just trying to win out and get us a chance to put ourselves in position to have a playoff game at home.
Absolutely, because I already told you if we can have a home game here down the street, we'll be there to bring our listeners the play-by-play coming up on Friday, November the 8th. I know it's amazing. You let our listeners know is that you have one of the most unique situations in the GIAA is that you have an 8-game schedule in your region schedule, there at district schedule. And you're the only AAA team in the region. Everybody else is Quad A teams. You think that would help you?
You would think so. And then the thing is, the Bethlehem Christian last week, even though we took an unfortunate loss, it actually helped them, and they moved up in their rankings. They were 7-0, and we're still number 6, beating us, making them 8-0. They moved up to 4. I'm not sure how they look at it. I think it's a little biasy in the sense of being from Middle Georgia, South Georgia. However, I tell my guys we have to control what we can control. It's tough, like you said. We play in a 4A region, and we play 4A teams. Not sure why that doesn't correlate to when we go back down to 3A, but
yeah, we think so.
I have no idea.
All right, that's the big thing. Talking to Coach Lee Coleman, the head coach of Lakeview Academy. We'll be with you coming up on Friday night. Tell everybody about that game with Athens Christian.
So we have an Athens Christian team that plays hard on film, got some size, some good little athletes, skill position. We just got to come in. It'll be our homecoming, actually. We had homecoming dance, but with the storm, we didn't have the game with the people walking out. So we'll have those festivities at halftime. But we're looking to go 8-0, or 8-1, but really being 1-0 for the week. I tell my guys every week is one game at a time. So it's a big chance for us to win 8 games for the first time in school history. So we're trying to make history here at Lakeview again.
And you keep doing that with Lakeview Academy this season. As we talk with Coach Lee Coleman, let everybody know also about the last game of the season. You end early before Halloween, and that game, the schedule has been changed, right?
Yeah, so we'll play Loganville Christian at our place. It'll be our senior night. So the fortunate thing about us now, our last two games will be at home, and the blessing would be we move to the fourth spot, and then we'll have three home games left. So that's what we're shooting for. But Loganville Christian has been switched to playing at our place.
Has the Hurricanes, have they affected the teams in Middle Georgia and South Georgia that much? Because I can't even imagine all they've gone through to be able to even play football, Lee.
So they have. I know two teams in the region with the Deerfield Windsor and the Valwood. So Deerfield Windsor ended up losing the game last night, which we needed. They were supposed to play, or them or either Tift area, they were supposed to play Valwood, but the game was moved because of the hurricane. So they missed a few weeks. So hopefully that game will get made up on the 1st. So what happened with the GIAA is it's a 10-team playoff, but since the hurricane, it is now back to an 8-team playoff. So everybody will have a first-round bye pretty much, not play on the 1st, but the 1st will be now used for a makeup game.
Got you. And from that standpoint, and again, our prayers go down to the people there, really from the I-16 area, from Macon to Savannah and up toward Augusta, because there's still a lot of devastation. I still can't imagine them even being able to play football right now, Lee.
Yeah, it's been a tough situation. I didn't even look to see if Val would play last night, but I know they were one out of Valdosta that they were struggling to get power and things of that sort.
All right, buddy. We'll see you on Friday night, because we'll be there to bring everybody the play-by-play. Should be a great time. Homecoming for Lakeview Academy. The Lions will go up against Athens Christian, and both former GHSA teams down in the GIAA. Be some good football coming up on Friday. Gary Glenn will be on the sidelines. He'll get a chance to talk to you at halftime and after the ball game, and we'll have the play-by-play. Everybody know they can hear the game here on 97.5 Glory FM. Lee, thanks so much, buddy. Have a great week.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it very much. Lee Coleman, the head coach of the Lakeview Academy Lions. Again, we'll be there next Friday night with Friday Night Football in North Georgia, starting with the Long Street Cafe pregame show at 7:05, kickoff at 7:30 as they go up against the Athens Christian Eagles. Coming up next, we'll talk with Coach Tommy Jones, the head coach of the Cherokee Bluff Bears, here on 97.5 Glory FM with the Saturday Morning Sports Show.
At Jackson EMC, innovation is an ongoing cycle, a process without a beginning or an end, where one idea leads to the next. Solar power, electric vehicle program, energy-efficient right choice homes, automated switch technology. What we do as an industry is vital. We keep communities powered, so we must always have an eye on the future. Jackson EMC, innovation for today, innovation for tomorrow.
This is Nat Nick, president of Duplicating Products, where we're proud to celebrate 50 years of serving North Georgia. Since 1974, Duplicating Products has been dedicated to providing top-quality office solutions and exceptional service. Our success would not have been possible without the support of our incredible community and loyal customers. Thank you for being an important part of our journey. Find out more about us at duplicatingproducts.com/thank you.
It's flu season in North Georgia, and now is the time to take care of yourself and get your flu shot at Riverside Pharmacy. Nobody wants to be hit with the flu bug, but if you haven't had your shot yet and you've been bitten with the flu, the pharmacists at Riverside Pharmacy in
Glory
Gainesville can
FM.
help you
Time to
too.
talk.
They can fill your prescription with expert care and have you up and going before you know it. And they're your headquarters for all of your over-the-counter needs. Riverside Pharmacy across the street from City Park, serving Gainesville for over 60 years.
Welcome back to 97.5 Glory FM. We're talking now with one of the surgeons from the Northeast Georgia Physicians Group. We're talking with Dr. Chad Muxlow of Sports and Orthopedic Medicine there at NGPG. Dr. Muxlow, thanks for being with us here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. I'm orthopedic sports medicine surgeon with NGPG Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, and so mainly I focus on injuries that involve tendons, ligaments, and certainly some bones as well. So take care of a lot of athletes, and then just a lot of repetitive use type injuries in patients. Typically we see those just from a lot of years of work and repetitive use and those sorts of things.
All right, so tell me about your background, sir, in sports medicine.
Sure. So I went to medical school at Michigan State University, and then did my residency and did a one-year fellowship after 5 years of residency, did a 1-year fellowship in arthroscopy and sports medicine. So, just growing up playing sports, when I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to do, for a job in the future when you grow up, I was like, well, I still want to be a part of sports in some way. So, kind of my background of just being mechanical in nature, being like to fix things and make things better, and then being able to care for patients. It was just kind of a good mix. So that way I was able to kind of stay involved with sports and, help athletes. Like, if you've been through injuries as a young athlete, that can be a big thing in your life to have to go through. And having suffered an injury like that myself and gone through it, I thought that'd be a great way to be able to kind of still stay involved, but help athletes as they move forward with their injuries as well.
Now, on a daily basis, you see a lot of sports injuries. What are the most common things that you're seeing now?
So we see a lot of knee injuries, especially in sports. So we'll see, ACL injuries, which is one of the main ligaments in the center of the knee, kind of stabilizes the knee. That's a pretty common injury in basketball and football and other sports as well, but that's one of the ones we see a little more often. We also see meniscus injuries, which are injuries to the cartilage cushion between the joint and the knee. Again, kind of a twisting motion or mechanism. A lot of times with, cutting and twisting type sports, where we're making sudden stops and quick moves, we can occasionally catch that tissue and cause a tear in that as well. And then probably the next thing beyond that would be shoulders. That's probably the next common injury that we'll see. So especially with, contact sports, football, we'll see some shoulder dislocations. And when that shoulder dislocates, it can do some damage to the structures inside the shoulder that then we have to get put back together so we can get back out on the field and playing again.
We're talking with Dr. Chad Muxlow, one of the surgeons at NGPG Ortho and Sports Medicine. So tell me about just the layman who's out there working, or maybe a weekend athlete, that kind of thing. When they're having injuries, that they say, okay, do I go here or go there? How they know to come to NGPG?
Yeah, if it's if it's an injury involving like any type of a joint or muscle, that sort of thing, those kind of aches and pains, if they're just not getting better, seem to be getting chronic, maybe getting a little bit worse, that's probably a good time where we want to start thinking about having that checked out. Some of these things perpetually get worse over time, and sometimes it's better to know about it a little sooner rather than later, so we don't have more damage that occurs. Certainly, a little strain or something you might suffer over the weekend, give it a couple days, use a little ice and some, over-the-counter Tylenol or something like that if that's appropriate for you. Just see if it'll feel a little better. If it kind of continues to linger, then probably a good idea to get it checked out, and we can kind of make a plan from there. Hopefully nothing major. Most things aren't, but we don't want to kind of neglect the things that can get worse and cause trouble down the road.
When it comes to plans, Dr. Muxlow, how about the difference between having to have surgery and maybe doing some kind of rehab to maybe go through the pain or that injury?
Yeah, it's tough to kind of work through a lot of injuries as far as pain-wise. So usually we need to do something. Now, again, it might not be surgery. If something's, we don't necessarily have something torn, like a ligament torn or any significant damage, it might be more of a muscle strain or tendon pull. We want to kind of focus on the rehab on that. So first we want to get down any kind of pain or inflammation, and then we want to try to build the strength and mobility back. And so depending on what the injury is, that is usually the first course of treatment, unless it's, an obvious severe injury where there's something torn that we know it's not going to be able to heal itself.
So tell me about your ideas about rehab and how long someone should be going through rehab and seeing you at NGPG.
Sure. Yeah. So again, obviously depends on the injury, as far as the treatment plan moving forward. But again, a lot of times we do want to start with a little bit of rehab once we kind of get that initial pain and inflammation down. And, depending on the injury, it might only take a couple of weeks, but you usually want to give, a good 4 to 6 weeks of therapy if the injury just isn't bouncing back right away. We're still having trouble, by that 6-week mark, then we're probably going to think about some other options to try to get the patient better and get them back doing what they like to do.
So tell me where you're practicing at the NGPG. Where's your location?
So I practice at the Orthopedic and Sports Medicine practice there, just off Jesse Jewell at Medical Park 1 in Gainesville, and then also go up to Dawsonville as well, and we're opening a new building up there as well, so we're going to be excited about that opening, have some more services up there, so we kind of split time between those locations at this point.
All right, thanks to Dr. Chad Mugslow of NGPG Ortho and Sports Medicine. We've got much more for you coming up next here on 97.5 Glory FM.
Hey, it's Coach Mark Richt here. Everyone knows defense wins championships. And if you're not using EMC Security to defend your home and family, you need to step up your game. They're who I use for home security and cameras, and you should too. I've scouted them all, and there's no better choice. With EMC Security's no contract and local service, they are a clear number one. So give them a call or visit them online at emcsecurity.com. That's emcsecurity.com.
Siphon Logistics' commitment is to provide you, the customer, with on-time pickup and delivery every time. Members of the Siphon family have been in the transportation business since 1984. The Siphon Logistics transportation professionals are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, providing maximum flexibility and options to produce the most successful shipping arrangements. Call Siphon Logistics at 770-287-8485 and take a look at their website at siphonlogistics.com.
And back on the Saturday Morning Sports Show, Mike Wofford with you until 10 o'clock this morning. It's 9:26, 26 minutes past 9 o'clock. Still trying to get in touch with Coach Tommy Jones late night for Coach last night. Funny thing is, I shared this last night, I'll share it with you, is that I always talk to the coaches as much as possible on the final score on Friday nights as we bring you all the final scores from all the ball games. I'll talk to the coaches, recap all the games for you right here on 97.5 Glory FM every Friday night between 11 and midnight on the show called The Final Score. And last night I kept trying to get in touch with Coach Jones, and then it was about 11:40. He picks up the phone and goes, "Hey, Mike." And I said, "Hey, Coach, can you talk to me?" He said, "Well, I just got out of the shower." And I said, "Can you call back about 10 minutes?" So instead of calling him last night, I sent him a text message and said, "I'll talk to you on Saturday morning." So he said, "Sure thing." And he apologized not getting a chance to talk to us last night on the final score, but I'm trying to get in touch with him this morning, so stay tuned. We'll try to get in touch with Coach Tommy Jones. A big win last night for the Bears, winning by a score of 52-24. Recapping the scores from last night in Region 8 AAA, it was Jefferson over East Hall 49-7. Oconee County shuts out West Hall 50-0. And really you have the top four teams there in that region could all be going to high spots in the rankings in AAA play, with Jefferson also now with Cherokee Bluff. This is going to be a great matchup between those two teams coming up, because Cherokee Bluff still undefeated on the season. They're 7-0 going into their next game in Region 8 AAA. And, of course, the other team is Oconee County, coached by former Fly Branch and Jefferson coach Ben Hall, with another impressive win last night for the Warriors as they were victorious at home against West Hall last night. In Region 6 AAA play, it was Chestatee with a historic win last night. First region win in a long time. Second straight win. They've won 3 games now. They're 3-4 in the season. As Stuart Cunningham's War Eagles, they were victorious over Pickens 37-14. Also from last night, Dawson County with a big win as they shut out Trip Nix and the White County Warriors 14-0 there at Tiger Stadium. It was Lumpkin County with a 64-14 win over the Johnson Knights down at the Dungeon. And the game you heard right here on 97.5 Glory FM, it was North Hall defeating Greater Atlanta Christian by a final of 27-23. It really came down to defense for the first part of the ball game as North Hall jumped out to a 20-0 lead. It all began with the first drive there for GAC with a big interception for the Trojans.
Quarterback's going to throw it. Intercepted at the 28, up the sideline, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30, 25. Woodward's going to knock him down. That was number 11, Charlie Dyer, with the interception.
And that's up the touchdown for Parker Carlton. First of 3 touchdowns for Parker last night for North Hall.
2 guys in the backfield. Going to hand off to Carlton. Carlton tries to go through. Touchdown, Trojans. Waited to make sure the umpire threw his hands up on the side, Judge, and he does. 13-0 Trojans.
So for the GAC team, their first drive ended in an interception. North Hall, they fumbled the first time they had the football, but GAC could not score the play. They end up missing a field goal. North Hall gets the ball back. and they end up scoring another touchdown after another GAC turnover on a fumble.
3rd and goal at the 1. RJ into the slot, going to hand off to Parker again. Touchdown, standing up. Parker Carlton puts the Trojans on the board.
They missed the PAT up 13-0 at that point. They had one more touchdown there in the second quarter. Early on in the quarter, another touchdown by Parker.
Sleeman with the football, hands off to Carlton. Carlton looking for a hole. Touchdown, Parker Carlton walking into the end zone from 4 yards out.
Well, you heard there, Alex Sleeman was a quarterback at that time, and he suffered a key injury there in the second half of play when he went down with a knee injury, and both training staffs from both GAC and from North Hall were treating the North Hall quarterback last night, and he was hit low, did a somersault, legs going up in the air, and I thought he may have injured himself when he landed, but instead it was the hit on his knee. And according to Jody Kenny last night, it was a devastating injury for him. He was treated by the team, Dr. Voxavanis, who's one of the best orthopedic surgeons around. And so he treated him last night, and they'll look at an MRI coming up on Monday to assess any injury there to Alex Sleeman. But then it was Smith McGarvey coming into the ball game for North Hall from last night, helping them win
Young,
the ball game.
got a man
there.
open over on this
And
side. Intercepted!
But here's the play that really kept it off. After North Hall jumped out to a 20-0 lead, then it was GAC scoring two touchdowns. Well, it was a touchdown and a field goal in the second quarter. At that time, it was 20-10 at halftime, and then it was the GAC team. Just heard from Coach Tommy Jones. He's at a cheerleading competition and may not be able to join us for a few more minutes. We'll talk to him later on. North Hall up 20-10 at halftime. Then GAC comes down. They end up taking the lead 23-20 in the fourth quarter play. It looked like North Hall might end the ball game with a loss, as it was GAC controlling the football there on their last drive of the game. But the North Hall defense came up strong. They end up forcing the Spartans to punt. And I just said, we need a turnover. Next thing you know, Joe's calling the play there with a botched snap. Then it was North Hall getting the ball in great field position at about the 36-yard line. And it came down to one of the most dramatic plays in a long time for North Hall as Smith McGarvey throws the winning touchdown pass.
McGarvey with 3-4 wideouts. Takes it, rolls out here to the right, looks, throws it long. Got a man open!
I think he caught it.
Touchdown Trojans, number 1, Cole Cable in the corner!
They went to the number 1 receiver.
Woo! How about that?
And as we heard from Jody Kenny last night, he had to put it in the perfect position for Cole Cable to be able to catch that football from last night. And North Hall
football, hands off
ends
to
up to win the football game by a final score of 27-23. But GAC had one more chance. They had to score a touchdown to end up winning the football game for North Hall not to win their first time ever against GAC. And here's a big defensive play once again.
Young got a man open over on this side. Intercepted, number 5. Connor Harwood with the biggest interception of his career to seal the win for the Trojans. With 4 seconds on the clock, North Hall will come away with their first ever win over the Spartans of GAC.
And North Hall wins their 5th straight game. They're 5-2 overall on the season, and they are undefeated at 4-0 in region play. Next week, North Hall is on the road. They'll be at the Burial Grounds in Dahlonega taking on Lumpkin County. Then they're back at home for the last 2 games of the regular season. They'll take on Johnson, and then the last game of the season on November the 1st here on 97.5 Glory FM will be there. They're ringing the game between Dawson County and North Hall. And right now, the region championship is in their hands if they can go ahead and win out. But the big thing is still a lot of things can happen as Heath Webb's Lumpkin County Indians are in a great spot also, playing at home with this big rivalry next Friday night in Dahlonega. If Lumpkin County wins, you look at how the situation is with the triangle there. North Hall's beaten GAC. GAC's already beaten Lumpkin County. If the Indians could beat North Hall, there'd be a 3-way tie with 2 weeks left on the regular season schedule. As we mentioned with the new playoff structure, if GAC finishes number 1 or number 2, that knocks out that spot from the state playoffs with automatic berth for the teams there in Region 6 AAA, the public schools. Then they'd have to go to the power rankings again. So the big thing is pardon me, You see that live on the stream. If North Hall and Lumpkin County by chance can finish 1 and 2, that's going to be the big thing for those two teams to knock GAC at least into a number 3 or 4 spot there in Region 6 AAA. But still some big ball games right now. Really the playoffs begin for the public schools, trying to knock GAC out of the playoff hunt there in Region 6 AAA. For GAC and the other private schools in AAA, AA, and Single A, they'll have their own state championship that they'll have coming up in November to determine the number 1 team there from all those private schools in those 3 classifications, and see how the public schools, now they won't have to play the private schools in those 3 classifications in the future when it comes to private versus public, but they will still have that situation going on in Quad A, Quint A, and 6A. Right now, the teams we are looking at going into the state playoffs here in Hall County would be North Hall, Cherokee Bluff, along with Gainesville. An outside shot still, Flowery Branch with their win last night. And then, of course, Lakeview Academy. They're going to be in the state playoffs. The question is, will they be at home or on the road in the first round of that 8-team playoff coming up on November the 1st. We'll find out more details about that, especially with our game next Friday as they go up against Athens Christian here as they celebrate homecoming here on 97.5 Glory FM. We got much more to talk about. We just have heard, I'm telling you, from Coach Tommy Jones. He's at a cheerleading competition right now, and he'll be talking to us hopefully in the next half hour here on 97.5 Glory FM. Coming up next, we'll talk more about local sports. We'll talk about the Atlanta Falcons and Georgia State football today at 3 o'clock. We bring you Panther football as they'll be at home taking on Old Dominion right here on the Georgia State Network on 97.5 Glory FM. Much more coming up next on the Saturday Morning Sports Show.
Here I am on the road again, ready to pick up the kids from school, go by the grocery store, and do all the things a busy mother does. It's because I just left North Hall Tire and Wheel, where they made sure I was ready to go. They put on a fresh set of tires, checked the brakes, and even the battery. I know I can trust Mike and Matt and the guys at North Hall Tire and Wheel. They have everything you need, all the name brand tires at the best prices, and the service you need. They're on Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, so give them a call at 770-297-5308.
This is Representative Lee Hawkins, your representative to the state legislature. I want to wish all the local athletes in our area the very best this season. Your team is very important to the success of our community, and I look forward to seeing you play this year and to see what you accomplish in the classrooms and in the community. I also look forward to serving you and your family in the state legislature. This message paid for by the committee to re-elect Lee Hawkins.
And we're back on the Saturday Morning Sports Show, 97.5 Glory FM. Hey, let everybody know you can see me work behind the scenes here. We are remodeling and renovating some things here in the Sports Center, and I've got a new look here, and we're work in progress right now. We got some new equipment coming in the next few weeks, so everything's going to be getting better as we continue to upgrade the situation here in our Sports Center here at 97.5 Glory FM. Hopefully get a chance to talk with Coach Tommy Jones later this half hour. We'll also hopefully talk with Dave Cohen about today's ball game with Georgia State and Old Dominion. But first, let's talk about Atlanta Falcons football as we talk with Harper LaBelle, our partner on Friday nights here on Saturday mornings on the Saturday Morning Sports Show. Hey, Harper.
Well, good morning, Mike. It's I guess you're getting a facelift there. Is that right?
Well, you tell me. I have a face of radio, so I don't know. So you had to tell me that when you look online there at our YouTube channel at Team Glory Sports. So we'll go from that standpoint. Hope you got enough sleep last night because it's been a busy weekend, I know, for you, from working with us last night and now working with Dave today.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, get back to work, kid. Hurry up. You got another game to do. It's like Keith Richards with the Rolling Stones said once. He goes, you go in the studio, you make a hit like Satisfaction, and the first thing that the record producers say to you is, all right, well, let's get back to work. Let's make another one. You don't even get a chance to celebrate it much. But a great game last night. I was really impressed, especially with how quiet. You probably sense this a lot more than others. It's just a very different atmosphere after one of your players, especially a good one like your quarterback, Alex Schluman, gets hurt as badly as he did.
Yep.
And that team just fought back. It was a great victory, and for a number of reasons, a historic night there for North, and they're in the driver's seat there in the division, or at least in the region right now. Good for them.
Yeah, you talk about being busy. I heard a story this past week about the NFL and with Sunday Night Football. And, Carrie Underwood does the music and the singing for the theme for Sunday Night Football. I heard that she gets like $100,000 a game on Sunday Night Football for producing the intro and everything else she does for those games. But then I heard she does it in one day. And not only the regular season games, but also the playoffs with every possible scenario that could happen in the playoffs. And she's there singing all day for that NFL Sunday Night Football. Think about that, how that would be all day long.
Well, I'd sing all day too for $100,000, wouldn't you, Mike?
That's per game.
I know. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. The league, don't let anyone tell you that the National Football League doesn't have any money. All right, they get a full share. If you look at the salary cap, and you would think that, okay, whatever it is, $12, $15 billion, and they split it 32 ways. No, they don't. They split it 33.
Yep.
33 ways. Each team gets a full share, and so does the league office, and they don't have to split it in half like the owners do. They get a full $450 million share, and that's how Roger Goodell can pay himself $40 million a year, and they can pay Carrie Underwood $100,000 a week to change the lyrics for the teams that are going to be playing, and especially with the flex schedule. I think she has a part of her contract where she says, okay, well, we may do just pick two teams, Minnesota and Detroit, but no, we're not going to do that one. We're going to do the Seattle and San Francisco games. So she has to be able to have a new set of lyrics. You know, it's not very long. It's about 30 seconds worth of actual airtime, but it takes her most of the day to get that right.
So also, did I hear, is it still true that the NFL is a 501c3 nonprofit organization?
Well, if they can do it that way, yeah, I'm sure they do. But there's nothing nonprofit about being a part of that organization. You know, in terms of the amount of money that is paid to it to broadcast games that anywhere from 10 to 50 million people are going to watch any single game at any single time. It's an amazing audience, and they know it.
So the Falcons right now, you and I talked the last couple of years, you would think they would be in this situation before, but now things have changed so dramatically. Did you think we'd be in this position right now when you and I first started talking about a month ago?
Well, I knew that Pittsburgh was going to be a tough game regardless because we just haven't played well against Pittsburgh ever. So losing that, but then also when you throw in the fact that you didn't play any of your starters in the preseason, and it was probably a little bit uglier, but we lose by 8. Then we come back and get a surprise win, come from behind against Philadelphia. Then you get, you know, in terms of your scheduling, here's your Sunday night game. You go against Kansas City. And that turns out to be closer than I expected. We lose, but by 5, and it was a one-possession game pretty much all throughout. That surprised me as well. Not that we lost, but that we hung tight with those guys.
Oh, sure.
Now, would we have had the same results had we played them in Kansas City with that crowd and their abilities, you know, a week into it? I don't know, but it is what it is. And then you get a great win against New Orleans. It's always good to beat those guys. And then I have to say, a surprise overtime win last week. You didn't have to kick the extra point, but a 6-point victory there. And so there's some things that, you know, at this point last year, there were a couple of times where the Falcons were within a game of tying Tampa Bay or actually within a game of being in first place. We had it early in the season for a week, and then things started to slip. We lose here and lose there. So there's still a lot of season to go, but I am look, my quarterback is he's 5th in the league with 1,375 yards. He's 6th in the league with 8 touchdowns. That, to me, it's been a long while since Matt Ryan was in the driver's seat like that.
Yes, sir. No doubt about it. So let's think about looking tomorrow's game. 1 p.m. kickoff from Bank of America Stadium there in Charlotte. It's the Carolina Panthers who it seems like we have a hard time beating at times up there. But now you got a new quarterback in Andy Dalton, and you wonder about how the defense is going to be able to take care of him in the ballgame for a win.
Yeah, Jesse Bates had an interesting comment because he and Andy were teammates in Cincinnati.
That's right.
And he said, this guy's a pro. He gets the ball out quickly. He deciphers the defense very well. I know his work ethic. He's a good player. And give him a couple of weeks because, you know, when he gets thrown in after they make the change from Bryce Young, he wasn't ready. I mean, yes, he's on the team and all that kind of stuff, but, you know, being the guy, it's a completely different way of preparing. Here's the good thing. They run well. They're in the top 10, I think, for rushing. No, they're not. They're 19th. I'm sorry, I'm incorrect there. But they don't do that. They don't do much else well. They don't score a lot of points. They're averaging 16, which is near the bottom. They give up 33 a game. That's dead last. So the Falcons have all the reasons in the world. If you slow Chuba Hubbard down to maybe 100 yards, 95, something like that, then I like my chances there. Even though you're right, Mike, we have not played well in Carolina, and I was in the first game in '95. That we struggled. We just we don't play well up there. The Falcons don't, but you have every reason to do so now.
Well, and this thing about too, I was going to ask you about the running game. If they can just shut that down, and maybe force Dalton to throw the football, that's even a bigger chance because you can see the defense just swarming him if they can tomorrow.
Exactly, and take advantage of an errant throw or a tip pass or something like that. To create turnovers, do something special. That's what you want every week, but it doesn't always happen. The Falcons are giving up 23 points a game, which is that's 10 points less than what Carolina is giving up, but still it's in the bottom half. So improvement there, slowing teams down, getting 17, 14 points a game. That would be more advantageous for the team, obviously. But Carolina, they study film, they work out, they get paid well too. They're there to win, and so it is going to be a challenge. Even though all the numbers right now say the Falcons should win this one by at least a touchdown.
And the fans should be happy. You look at 4-2 if they can win this game tomorrow. That's something I think you got to really look at with all the changes that were made in the offseason, especially with Kirk Cousins, where the Falcons are right now with 11 games to go after tomorrow's game.
Yeah, completely agree. And then when you stop to think also, Mike, this team picked in the bottom 8, 6, 4 over the last several years. I want them to pick in the 20s, and that means you're going to the playoffs. So one way to get there, you got to win your division. That's obviously the first goal. But Raheem Morris from day one was talking Super Bowl. So, yes, it's way too early to even talk playoffs, but at least he planted those seeds. And I've said forever, when you plant seeds like that, you never know what's going to grow. But, if you plant corn seeds, you're not going to get carrots. And if he's planting Super Bowl seeds, he's going to try to do everything he can to get that team into the playoffs, win the division, get a home field advantage, all those things that are necessary to get there where your chances are increased. But getting the running game going and slowing some teams down on defense, those are two priorities that absolutely need to be addressed.
I always look at the one thing, Harper, I'm sure you remember this, when Dick Vermeil was there at Philadelphia and he planted that seed about them being in the playoffs. You remember that game with Pisarcik there with the Giants, that fumble, and the Eagles end up winning that miraculous way they ended the ball game. And you can see still Ron Jaworski there crying like a baby. He was so emotional, just hugging on Dick Vermeil and saying, we're winners, and just kept saying over and over and over and over again, we're winners. And that was one of those things that could set a team apart. And I can see the same thing with Raheem Morris and the Falcons right now.
Yeah, I think 1975 Rose Bowl, Dick Vermeil was coaching UCLA.
Yep.
In 1980, he was coaching the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And then he ends up winning. He gets one with the Rams in the greatest show on turf. So, how you communicate with people and your expectations. Kevin Ross said this once. Kevin was a free agent safety that we signed back in about 94, 95. He goes, man, there's so much talent on every team. You don't even have to try hard, and you can go 6-10. This is back when we played 16 games. He goes, so the difference between a team going 6-10 and 10-6 is playoffs, draft picks, it's money, right? It's just all the glamour that comes with winning versus losing. And it's basically a mindset. If you just, you got to practice well, you got to be consistent. There's a lot that goes into it, but the edge for victory is so slim in the league, and it has been for years. There's a truth to it. So, yes, I agree with the planting of the seeds and at least talking about it. It's okay to communicate it. Even if you don't get there today, you're working towards it. And then once the guys get a hold of that and they realize, man, if I just concentrate a little bit better and make fewer mistakes in practice, and that translates in the way I play on Sunday or on Monday night with Carrie Underwood singing, I'm going to be all right, and so is the team.
Final thing for you is that you're talking about expectations now. I think they've risen a lot for the offensive line.
Well, losing Drew Dahlman was big in my opinion, huge, because the team had been together for a couple of years, and what in the trade they call the continuity that they've had, they're tight. So that, and then you've got Storm Norton coming in. They're substituting guys in every now and then because of little nicks and dings, and we're still getting it. We're not the best offensive line in the game, but we're pretty doggone good. I think everyone can agree that we're better than most, even though we may not be the best. And if you give Kirk Cousins a little bit of extra time, he's going to throw for 500 yards and break a franchise record on the night that they give the Ring of Honor tribute to the guy that owned the record previously, in Matt Ryan. So I agree. The offensive line in any team, Mike, or the defense, it's still a game in the trenches.
Yes, it is. Isn't it?
And you can win or lose it there. And the Falcons are good enough to be 3-2 and hopefully 4-2 late in the evening on Sunday.
All right, bring us a win today at Georgia State. I'll talk with Dave next, and have a good broadcast. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, Mike. We'll talk soon.
You got it. See you next Friday night here on 97.5 Glory FM. That's Harper LaBelle. Coming up next, still waiting to hear from Coach Tommy Jones with his niece's cheerleading competition going on right now. He says he's going to call us, but not coming up next. You'll hear from Dave Cohen here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM.
Thank you, North Hall. This is Chris Kinsey with Millie's Drapery and Decorating, and we would like to thank the North Hall community for their continued support. Since 1968, my family has provided the area with beautiful custom drapery, bedding, upholstery, blinds, shades, and more. If you would like some help with your interior design project, give us a call and we'll schedule one of our talented designers to give you an in-home consultation and estimate for your project. Call us at 770-532-3819.
Your home is part of you, and keeping it comfortable and well-maintained is essential. Conditioned Air Systems is North Georgia's solution for residential heating, air, and plumbing services. For more than 40 years, our family has been committed to delivering the highest quality service by our certified technicians and plumbers. Experience the difference today when you choose Conditioned Air Systems for your home's heating, air, and plumbing needs. Quality you can feel, service you can trust. Visit conditionedairsystems.com to schedule an appointment.
Live radio at its very best here on 97.5 Glory FM, at live YouTube stream on YouTube at Team Glory Sports. Coach Tommy Jones, the head coach at Cherokee Bluff, was supposed to join us here this morning, but he's playing uncle at his niece's cheerleading competition. They're still cheering right now, so we're going to go to the phones. We're going to punt and go to talk college football. We won't talk to him anyway here. The voice of Georgia State, Dave Cohen, joining us here to talk about Old Dominion and Georgia State. Hey, David.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I am doing great, sir. Good to talk with you. It's been, a long time, it seems like, since State's been playing.
Yeah, one game in the last 3 weeks. Coming off the Vanderbilt win, which was a fantastic win for the Georgia State football program, went into an off week, came back, played Georgia Southern, did not play that well, got beat, and then went into another off week last Saturday. So back at it today against the Monarchs of Old Dominion, and other than a Thursday night game at Marshall next Thursday night of next week, which will give them basically a Saturday off next week. It's the stretch run, eight straight games right through the end of the regular season for Del McGee and Georgia State. And, this is a big one today because they come in at 1-4. Georgia State at 2-2, lost a heartbreaker at Old Dominion last week. But if Georgia State is going to hold out any hopes for a bowl game, this is a huge game because the next four, as I mentioned, are all on the road at Marshall, at Appalachian State, at UConn, and then at James Madison. So that is quite what I call a college football gauntlet. And that places, in my opinion, they're all big games, but from a strategic standpoint, regarding wins and losses, that's why this one today is such a big game. You don't want to go out on the road for four straight at 2-3. Obviously, you want to go at 3-2.
Well, the big thing, too, I talked to Harper last night about that. In the Sun Belt Conference, you have got to win your games at home because you know how difficult it is to win on the road in the Sun Belt.
No question, and that's why we're calling it the gauntlet, other than UConn, who Georgia State beat last year. But UConn's obviously a much better team this year than they were last year. But Marshall is a tough place to play up there in Huntington, West Virginia. Based on Hurricane Helene, we're not quite sure yet where the game will be held. regarding Appalachian State. Will it be at Boone? Will they agree to maybe move it to Atlanta? I've heard it could be played somewhere else in North Carolina. I don't think anything is finalized yet. But if it is in Boone, above and beyond the fact that Georgia State has never beaten Appalachian State, Boone is one of the tougher places in the Sun Belt to play. They normally have a fantastic crowd there. It's usually standing room only. And then, of course, James Madison, people thought there'd be a little bit of a drop-off with Kurt Cignetti leaving and taking the Indiana job. But Bob Chesney has come in there at Harrisonburg and basically took the baton from Cignetti. And, you know, other than a bump on the road, loss on the road to Louisiana Monroe, the Dukes are scoring a lot of points, and I think they're, 4-1 on the year. So
but didn't it show
going to
Dave?
Harrisonburg is no easy task either. So you're right. The road in the Sun Belt is extremely, extremely difficult.
But Dave, when you look at ULM beating James Madison, and I got to talk about Vandy beating Alabama with Georgia State beating Vanderbilt, is it almost like any given Saturday now what can happen in college football?
Yeah, pretty much. And I think I said on our broadcast for Vanderbilt with Harper, based on the transfer portal and the name, image, likeness dollars that are now flowing, look, Alabama and the Georgias and the Tennessees, I mean, every school in the Sun Belt is flush with cash for multiple reasons. And obviously their TV contract plays a big role in it. And Alabama's always got top talent, and Georgia's got top talent, Tennessee and Ole Miss, and normally Florida, and so on and so forth, Arkansas. Vanderbilt has always been, as you know, the bottom feeder in the league. And I'm not saying that they're going to beat Alabama every year, but the fact that they've now got name, image, likeness dollars, and so on and so forth, they can now begin to attract, and you're seeing it happen. They can begin to attract based on what they can offer players. Better players than they were maybe getting in the past. And again, I'm not saying they're going to be up there with Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and so on and so forth. What I'm saying is percentage-wise, Vanderbilt is going to become a better and better program because of the resources that they're now able to use to attract better players to Nashville. And who doesn't want to play in Nashville?
Yep, good point from that standpoint. We're talking to Dave Cohen, getting ready for Old Dominion and Georgia State today, last home game for a month from now. And that's the one thing about the way the schedule is. You want to go ahead and, as they say, pack the park today with a kickoff at 3:30 p.m. The Panther pregame show starts at 3 o'clock with Dave and Harper LaBelle counting down the kickoff right here on your radio station, home for Georgia State sports. And then looking ahead, just for a moment, you and I, is that, okay, you got a short week getting ready to go to Huntington, West Virginia, and then you can take a day off or two,
Yeah, like I said, they'll get another weekend off based on playing next Thursday night on national television as well as the radio network. So that kind of comes at a good time. And, after that, again, it's a stretch run right to the end of the season. Fortunately, 2 of the final 3 games of the regular season are at home with one tough trip to Texas State in between. But Arkansas State, which is homecoming week, and Coastal Carolina will be the final 2 home games of the regular season. So, again, that's why I kind of place that added importance on this game today. As you said, you got to win your home games. And this is a winnable game. They're 1-4. I know you throw records out sometimes, but they lost to Coastal Carolina in their previous game, but they still scored 37 points in a loss. Now, they gave up 45, but they still scored 37 points. So, Georgia State is quite capable of scoring points. We'll put a little added pressure on the defense today to get that Old Dominion points per game number down a little bit.
All right, the plan, David. Come on with a W, okay?
That's what we always say, Mike. Let's get out of the stadium with a W today.
All right, talk to you later today. Nathan Laddie will be producing the game here for the network here at the studio, as it will be Georgia State and Old Dominion. Panther pregame show at 3, kickoff at 3:30. Have a good one, Dave.
All right, Mike, thank you.
We got much more. We're going to have college football today coming up at 3 p.m. Up next is World and National News from SRN. That's the Saturday Morning Sports Show here on 97.5 Glory FM.